Hey, mamas, good morning, good morning. It is another beautiful Monday morning. Our heat wave finally broke in Connecticut, thank goodness. Oh, it was so hot here, but I guess it's only going to be nice for a couple days and then the heat is going to be back. All right, so this morning I want to share with you 3 tips for dealing with overwhelm. So, the reason it's funny because a lot of times I tell you guys that I come and do these lives because it's something that I dealt with myself, right? So last week I was feeling super overwhelmed. So if you think back, we lost power, right, for almost a week due to the storm. Then my last week we were back in the office for the first week, and I felt totally overwhelmed because I've got tax returns on extension. I've got courses starting. I have to have one course live this week and 2 more courses live next week. Plus, we have tons of new members of Bookkeeper Training School, and so trying to help all of them and answer everybody's questions. And I was just like, I told Jeff, I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna make all this work. I have no idea. There's just too much. I can't do it. And it's funny because whenever I hit that point, I always do these 3 things. Always. I always go back to this. Okay? So I'm going to give you my 3 things. And then, the thing I realize is that when I step away from these 3 things, okay, that's when overwhelm hits me. And so I noticed that I had stopped doing these things. Okay? And it's just so funny how these 3 things get me back on track, get me refocused, remotivated, and I get super productive again. Okay, so here are my 3 things. We're going to go through them one at a time. So the first one, I typically find that I start to spin out of control when I stop writing things down. Okay? I think as women, we manage all of this stuff in our minds, right? Or maybe we put it, I've got this notebook over here, I've got this notebook, I've got sticky notes. It's maybe we write it down, but it's all over the place. Okay? I have to write it down in one concise place. So what I did early last week is so I like using, and I think I've showed you guys this before, this paper whiteboard. And I got this from Julie Stoyan, this idea. Ooh, this one's almost done. So all it is, it's a mixed media notebook. Okay. I dump everything into this. Okay, but now here's the thing. After I've done my brain dump, then what I did is I went into Asana, which is a free tool that you can use. It's a to-do list, it's a project manager, it does all sorts of things. I use it to manage my tasks, all the things, right? Because all the things, you understand, right? Those of you that are moms, right, you understand all the things that you have to manage. And so what I'll do is I like kind of writing things out on paper the first time just to make sure I have everything, and then I put it into Asana as a big long master list with due dates and everything. And so once I did that, I kind of said, okay, yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but it's doable, right? Because putting the dates in allowed me to sort everything by date, which was really helpful. But then to see okay, I don't have to develop an entire 14-week class in a week. I have to have the first week's stuff done, right? Maybe 2 weeks. It would be really nice to have 14 weeks done. Okay, and that'll lead us into item number 2. But once I sorted everything by the due date, I didn't really need to have everything done. Okay, which leads me into number 2, right? So the first one is write it all down. And it does really help if there are due dates involved that you associate the due dates with it, okay? And like I said, I know some of you use Trello, some people use Asana, some people use Cozy. There's lots of different ways. You could just put this in a Google Calendar, whatever works for you. But I think it's really important to have an electronic spot okay, to have this in, okay, because this is going to help with one of these items as well. Okay, so number 2 is when you look at that list, you have to separate the needs from the wants. Okay, and like I said, it would have been really nice to say, yes, all of my courses are done the day they launch, right? And these are my courses for the university. Not gonna happen, right? It's a nice want. It would be lovely if all the content was done and all the videos were recorded and everything was happy and wonderful and done. But it's not gonna happen. So what do I need? Like, what do I need to get done this week? Okay, what do I need to get done next week? Okay. And then the nice thing though is that by having that huge brain dump in Asana, then I can sit there and say, okay, I have a little bit more time. What's the next thing on my list? What's the next thing I need to get done? And then I can start to get ahead, right? But by saying like, I'm going to do a 14-week class in a week, those are the things that create the overwhelm, right? That could create the burnout. That you just want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix for the rest of the day. Or for me, it's BritBox. I'm really enjoying BritBox. But, right, pick streaming service of your choice. That's where the overwhelm comes from, right? It's that I have way too much to do and it's all due right now. So I had to kind of pull back and say, okay, you know what? Yes, I would love to be in 4 book clubs. I can't. I can handle 1 book club right now, right? So which is the book club that I want to be in? Because seriously, I had 4 on my plate. I'm like, okay, we're going to peel it down to 1. It doesn't mean I'm not going to read the books eventually, but one book club at a time. I had to sit back and say, okay, I can't have these meetings, or I can't attend these classes, or I have to hand some things off to other people in my organization because I can't do it all. I'm a big believer in you can do anything, but you can't do everything, right? And so you have to decide what really needs to get done, okay? And then what would kind of be a want, okay? So the first thing, write it all down. And then see, and like one of the nice things with Asana, right, and the reason I like using that is because I can put due dates on things and then say, you know what, this doesn't really need to get done by this date. It's something I'd want to do by this date. And so what I can do is I can actually remove the due date and it'll push it down the list. Or I can change the due date. So like we did this. So I have, because I'm an idea person, right? So I have this idea to do a new product. And it would be a very small price point product. And we wanted to get it done this year. And I'm like, you know what? Not going to happen. There's just not the time. They're just not. And so it's still sitting there on my to-do list. I still see it, but it's at the bottom of the list. And just to have like a due date, I think I put June 1st of next year. So it's still there, right? It's something that is still there on my list. So tell me, those of you that are watching, if you're watching the replay, what is something that you need to get done, right? And then what is something that you want to get done that you've been treating as a need? Okay? Give me those in the comments, okay? All right. So, again, to recap, the first thing is you got to write it all down, right? You can write it down on paper, you can put it in an electronic, but it should end up in electronic format when you're done. Okay? When you're all done, and there's lots of things you can use. You can use Asana, you can use Trello, you can use Cozy, you can use your Google Calendar. Something that is due date driven, okay? The second thing is you need to separate wants from needs and reassess those due dates. The third thing, right, and these all connect together, right? These all connect together. The third thing is you've got to put decisions and reminders on autopilot. Decisions and reminders on autopilot. Now you're sitting there going, well, how do I do that? If I have to make a decision, I have to make a decision. I was actually having this conversation with somebody in our group. So I eat the same thing for breakfast almost every single morning. Okay? It's typically an omelet with mushrooms, onions, spinach, and Swiss cheese. I have this microwave omelet maker thing that I got from Tupperware, and I can make an omelet. I put my veggies in, I microwave it for 30 seconds, I put the eggs in, I microwave it for 2 minutes. Done. Done. Okay? And breakfast. Now, it's funny because this morning, it amazes me. This morning I was like, I don't know if I want the omelet for breakfast. I'm going to make something else. Well, then what am I going to make? I don't know. What am I going to make? It honestly took me 15 minutes to figure out what I was going to make for breakfast. If I would have had the omelet, I would have been done eating by then. Okay? So sometimes what it might be is, it might be, here are my, here's the list of my options. Pick one from the list. Again, write the list. Write it down. But on the mornings where I just say, I'm having my omelet because this is what I have for breakfast, I don't have to think about it. Even if you think before, right? Because what I'm trying to achieve here is I'm trying to get you out of a pressure situation where you feel like, you have to make a decision right now. Like, have you ever sat there and go, okay, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? And your toddler's like, bah! Right? Have you had it? Right? That's like all the time, right? What I've done now is I said, okay, I'm going to decide on dinner the morning before, right? So if I'm going to basically know what we're going to have for dinner that morning. I said, mornings are too hectic in our house. I don't know about you, but mornings are hectic, right? I'm trying to get me fed. Jeff's trying to get fed. Eric's trying to get fed. We're all running around. We're trying to get ready. Because even though we don't leave the house, right? Like, I've got to get upstairs so I can start working. Jeff is starting to work with Eric. It's just a lot. It's very, very hectic. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make my dinner plan as part of my shutdown the day before. So I've done videos on here about my morning routine, and I tell you guys to do a shutdown routine at the end of the day. So as part of my shutdown routine in the afternoon, I plan the next day's dinner, because then I can pull things out of the freezer. I can kind of think about, do we have everything that we need? The further out you make a decision from when it has to be made, the easier it is to make that decision and the less stressful it is. Okay, so you want to put things on autopilot. Okay, I know some people that they have like a 3-week dinner rotation, and they just say, okay, day 1 we eat this, day 21 we eat this, and then on day 22 we start with day 1 again. And they've completely put their menu plan on autopilot. I think that, we could do something like that. I think the guys would be okay with that. What I kind of do, because I don't know what I'm going to feel like making. If you get the Mother of All Time courses from us, you'll see that we've got, I kind of have a master list of everything that I can make. And I just kind of pick something off the master list, and that works really well for us. But even things like, remembering to take medication, or if your kids are on medication, set alarms, use apps. And I'll have to look up, I was looking for the name of the app, but I was reading a magazine and they recommended a medication app. And it's kind of cool because if you don't indicate you've taken the medication, it will notify a caregiver, which is pretty cool. I thought that was kind of neat. So lots of different options there for apps, for reminders. I use alarms all day. Alarms go off. Like, I've got an alarm that's going to go off in about 10 minutes that's going to remind me to go downstairs and have lunch. I've got reminders for transitions during the day. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to sit there and go, okay, I got to watch the clock. I got to watch the clock. I got to watch the clock. Right? I have something on my computer that pops up and says, hey, Kristen, you've got a meeting in 15 minutes. Right? I don't want to have to manage these things. I don't want to waste the brain power on them. Right? I want to use my brain power on things that are really meaningful. And we all have a limit. It's really interesting. Have you ever thought, it seems like my willpower at the end of the day, right? A lot of us that lose our willpower, right? It's at the end of the day. And that's because you only have so much. And when we waste it on all these little decisions, like what we're going to wear, what are we going to eat for lunch, and what are my kids going to wear, and we're using up all the willpower, so we get to the end of the night and we're like, ice cream, ice cream, I'm going to eat all the ice cream, right? Okay, that's what happens. It's really funny. Like Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing every day, right? He has 5 t-shirts and 5 hoodies and 5 pairs of pants, and it's like, boom, that's it, right? Eliminate decisions, put them on autopilot so you don't have to think about it. Okay, alarms are a beautiful thing. Okay, so here's the 3 things again. Okay, you need to write everything down. Write down everything that you need to do. Okay, if you write it down on paper, then put it in something electronic. Because if you put it in something electronic, it's going to remind you when you have to get it done. You don't have to think about it. Again, so that, right? Autopilot. I'm all about autopilot. Okay? Write it all down. Number 2, separate the wants from the needs. So think to yourself. So Tabitha said, packing my house is a need. That's all I got right now. Right? And that's it. She's got to get her house packed up. That's it. Main priority. Packing. Okay? It happens, right? Okay? So she's dialed in. She's on board. She knows what she's got to get done. Okay? A book club for Tabitha right now? Probably not happening. It would be really nice. We'll have to wait. Okay? See where we're going? Okay? And then the third thing is put things on autopilot. Put your decisions and your reminders on autopilot. Use apps. Use your phone alarms. Okay? Take away those kind of meaningless decisions so that you have the willpower to get done what you need to get done. If you're really struggling saying, I don't have the willpower to get to my desk, I don't have, the willpower to eat the way I want to eat, I don't have the willpower to exercise, I want you to sit there and I want you to think about all of the little decisions and the reminders and the things that you are keeping in your mind that just make your brain tired, right? And don't allow you to use your reserves in the best way possible for you. This goes for your business, this goes for life, this goes for parenting. Okay, this works in all the realms that I speak in. Okay? Write it down, separate the wants from the needs. Autopilot, autopilot, autopilot. All right, I hope you found this helpful today. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, let me know, okay, what you need to get done this week, okay, in order to advance your life, advance your business, be a better parent, what needs to get done this week. All right, mamas, love you so much. I will see you soon. Take care.